Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting is brought to you in partnership with Speak Studios and Speak Spokane, presented by Delicious Hamburgers. Speak Spokane is a community-driven studio space where voices from all walks of life can speak and be heard. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook at Speak Studios, Speak Spokane, and at their website, speakpodcasting.com. Speak Studios, speak and be heard. Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting is brought to you in partnership with Spin City. Spin City is an indoor cycling studio that strives on making sure everyone feels welcome and comfortable. At Spin City, exercise is more than physical, it's a mental workout. When you come to Spin City, you become family. Spin City is family-owned and believes supporting our community is the most important way to help grow our city. Email them now at info@spincityspokane.com or call anytime at 509-919-4824. We're all spending a little bit more time at home, so let the Furniture Outpost serve your needs. Locally owned and located in the heart of Spokane's Monroe Business District, the Furniture Outpost is there for your furniture needs. Sofas and love seats, sectionals, dining room, bedroom sets, mattresses, and so much more. No matter what you are looking for, they have it. Financing is a breeze with the Furniture Outpost. Come see them at 2801 North Monroe Street. Hey guys, we're excited to announce that we have recently partnered with eBay. If you're looking for awesome deals on exclusive and select products, click the link in the description. This week, you can get up to 50% off select Apple products, and that offer ends March 31st, so take advantage while you can. Thank you for joining me on Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting. My guest today is Chris Angell, founder and creator of Groundswell Marketing Agency. And we actually just met recently and started collaborating on some stuff. We have same brain, kind of, but also different brain a little bit. So Thank you for being here with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm excited. Let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about you, the human person.
The human. Yes. Well, I am 44 years old at the time of this recording, and I have a wife. I've been married for 20 years and a 16-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter who go to Ferris High School here in Spokane. And I moved to Spokane in 2007 to run a real estate company. I did that for 5 years as a CEO there. And then at the end of that stint, decided I really wanted to move into coaching and consulting, speaking, teaching. Like that's who I am at my core as a human. That's who I am. I love people. I love seeing their potential. I love seeing their dreams come into reality. And so I've really spent most of my life trying to figure that out.
Very nice.
As a human.
As a human person. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really what it's all about, is finding the things that bring you joy and trying to do more of those things every day. So it's a journey.
I think it's the thing, I know this just came to my mind, but I think that's the thing that makes me feel human, there's a lot of stuff we could do in pursuit, like trying to find a hobby or I think sometimes we say, well, who are you as a human? And we sort of mean like, who are you outside of work? But I feel like the things that make us human are the very things that bring us meaning and purpose, and for me, the way I've moved into business for 20 years has always been about meaning, mission, purpose. And so it's in business that I feel most human.
That's good. Yeah. Yep. Because I kind of feel the same way as far as my leadership journey went. Like I've always felt drawn to the same kind of thing, the people, figuring out what makes people tick, and that kind of stuff too. That's who I am as a person too. Yeah. I love travel for that reason, getting to know people from around the world, how small the world can really be and how much you actually have in common with most people. I think a lot of times it feels like we're different, but there's a lot of the sameness about us. So very cool. We'll share a fun fact about you, Chris.
I was trying to think what is a fun fact? In high school, I won my city's high school golf championship. I thought that was kind of cool. I'd never done anything like that before, and that was pretty fun.
That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, played college golf for 4 years, and so it was really
very
fun.
nice. Do you still play?
I played so much in college and high school that now I'll play once or twice a year, and it's fine. But it's not like I'm not the addict I was when I was in high school and college.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of burn that out. You're like, okay,
yeah.
well, done that now.
Yeah, exactly. I got my fill on that one. So
that's cool.
It's still fun. I enjoy it with the right company. You know, I wouldn't go out and do it by myself, but my son loves it. So it's fun to do with him, and it's fun to do with friends that enjoy it as well. So
yeah, that's an interesting sport. I actually just tried to start learning golf like a year or so ago. Or pre-COVID. I don't even know. It's like that year doesn't count. But yeah, that's an insane sport, like, because it's so much different from everything else. And you try to use like all these other skills that you have from basketball or baseball or whatever. And it's like not the same. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's its own thing for sure.
Yeah. I'm determined to conquer it at some point in my life, but it takes a lot of time. So
that's big time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No joke.
Tell us how you provide support for business owners and entrepreneurs.
Well, I love business owners and entrepreneurs because I think more than most, they have a vested interest in their success. Like if they don't succeed, it impacts their bottom line. Like there's no food on the table. So, business owners, entrepreneurs are people who put their whole being into making this thing work. And I love those kind of people. The challenge oftentimes though, is that these people have an idea. They have a passion. However they started their business, whatever genesis or spark or catalyst, there you go, started them on the path of business, took them into a space where then they didn't know how to generate leads. They didn't know how to market. They didn't know how to do a lot of things. And so a lot of businesses get stuck wandering in the wilderness, I say, for years trying to figure out, how do I do this in a way that feels congruent and authentic? Because that's the hard part, right? For years, I found myself in business trying to grow my business in ways that didn't feel congruent to who I was. And so I think a lot of people will do that because it's what's required. Like I'll go make calls, or I'll spend money on ads that I don't even know if they're working, or whatever. We make these speculations and these gambles in the name of trying to make it work. And none of it feels congruent to who we actually are. So what I help people do is build business strategies, growth strategies, marketing strategies that feel congruent to who they are.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I think that, like you said, is a common theme amongst entrepreneurs, small business owners, et cetera, is they're really good at a thing, or they're really passionate about a thing. And then all the other stuff still has to happen somehow. And it's just sometimes overwhelming. They're like, well, I've glued together all these processes. Like I know I'm supposed to track my money somewhere, So if you don't already have other experience and background in things, then it can be kind of challenging. So that's cool.
I call business like the ultimate personal development program. Like you got into business for yourself, like buckle up, because it's going to go to work on you. It is going to bring you into the dark night of the soul, and it is going to test your patience and your fortitude. Like, will you keep showing up long after results haven't happened? Like, this is the path of business. Congratulations. Tell them what they won, but if you can stick it out and you can get to the other side, not only is there, a promise of lifestyle that feels good, which I think a lot of people get into business for themselves for the lifestyle, but beyond that, if you could have the lifestyle, beyond that is where you start to find impact and purpose and mission, to make the world a better place. And those tend to be the kind of people that I help. I'm not super interested in helping somebody just sell another widget. Like I really want to work with people who want to make the world a better place. I think most humans want that, when we don't feel like we have all the abundance in the world, then we get stuck on focus. We focus on the widget. But I think when we have our fill of toys and money, we start to shift our energies towards purpose and helping other people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm all about that. Like trying to find your passion and do things that, like I said, bring you joy. Because what's the point otherwise?
Yeah.
Literally, what is the point?
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about your background. How did you end up where you are now, and a little bit more about your journey into Groundswell?
Yeah. I started, I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in recreation, which is
nice.
Yeah, no joke. I looked at the list of majors, and none of them felt like something I wanted to do. And I saw recreation. I'm like, I could get through that in 4 years. Like that sounds fun, and I could probably do that.
That's good. Solid.
By the way, people always laughed at me when I told them my major, but if you look at how much money is spent on recreation, like in other words, how much money is spent for people to do things outside of work. I mean, that's a ginormous business. So if you look at everything from gaming to outdoor recreation to pastime, all of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just me, like, validating my own choice.
Yeah, justifying. Yeah. Yeah, I support it. I'm all about that.
It's not like I did anything with that anyway. I don't know how many people actually do stuff with their majors anyway, but
it's pretty low, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think today's statistics, it's really low, the people who actually use it. So you're fine.
Yeah. College for me was more about learning who I was than it was about like trying to get prepared for the workforce. But it's important to my story because I left college not knowing where I fit professionally. I looked out into the world and I'm like, I don't fit any of these descriptions, right? 2 years went by and I thought, well, maybe I should become a teacher because I got to figure out some career. I was waiting tables and I didn't want to do that as a lifer because that's a taxing career. But I went into a master's program for education and got it. It was a 14-month program. I got 10 months in and started student teaching sixth graders, and it destroyed me. I mean, sixth graders were mean and no respect. I felt like I was babysit. It was awful.
Yeah.
And I quit my program. I was that long in, and it was a $20,000 lesson, like, okay, I guess this isn't for me. I guess I'll just pay this student debt back over time.
Until I die.
Yeah, right. But it was one of those things that was like, again, another important marker in my journey because I realized like I love education, but I don't want to work with people who need to be convinced they want to learn, which is kids, right? Kids are like, I don't want to learn anything. But I learned this appreciation for education. So I didn't know where I fit. I didn't feel like, oh, I can't wait to be a teacher. So I didn't know. I just didn't know. And my mother-in-law gave us the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad in like 2000. And I read it, devoured it, read the next 2 books in the series. And it was the thing that opened up my mind and heart to personal development. Like I just started down the path of reading everything I could. And it opened my mind to business and to investing. And it's what had me then go get my real estate license.
Oh, nice.
I felt like I could not only learn the game of investing by being a real estate agent and seeing the industry, but I felt like I could build a business in real estate as I went. So I sold real estate for 6.5 years in Tacoma and Gig Harbor, Washington. And then, like I said, moved to Spokane in 2007 to run a real estate company. So from 2001 to 2007, I sold real estate, and then I moved here to run a real estate company, had 200 agents, ran that company for 5 years. It was, I would say in some ways, it was kind of like a turnaround in that there was a lot of things happening in the industry. I came in at the top of the market and I rode it all the way to the bottom in 2011 is when I moved on. So like, height of the economy all the way down to the bottom of the recession. And I got to see a lot of, but in that time, we would recruit anywhere from 70 to 100 agents a year in a recession. When the MLS in Spokane was at 2,400 agents and went all the way down to 1,500 agents, we were recruiting 75 to 100 agents a year in a recession. And so it taught me a lot about leadership and about people and investing in people and how important culture is. And I think a lot of people in business chase tactics and gimmicks and strategies, and they often forget people. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like they forget human capital. Mm-hmm. And that's what kept us in business through that whole recession, was just investing in people.
Yeah. No, that's true. That came up too on my my first interview with Jeff Conroy. He's a leadership consultant. We originally met and connected because of our interest in leadership philosophy. It's very similar because you have to invest in the people and treat humans like humans and like they actually matter and they're not just a number, in the whole game. So yeah, no, it's very easy to, when you're in a situation where you're responsible for recruiting and keeping people, it can be tough to kind of balance that, just like it can with getting clients. You get obsessed with trying to like get new leads and get new clients and all of that, and kind of forget sometimes the ones that you do have are critical. So, because if you're constantly turning, then it doesn't matter,
Right. Yeah. I think for small business, if you're a solopreneur, you've built your world around being able to do things yourself. And a lot of times you've done that because you don't trust people or you've been burned by people. So investing in people and culture is irrelevant when you're a solopreneur, until if you're actually going to break through that ceiling of performance that you've been bumping up against. At some point, you're going to realize you don't have enough time in the day to do all the things, and you're going to need people, and you're going to have to heal some of those wounds that have been festering in the shadows of your life around people, where you just don't trust them. Because if you're going to scale your impact and your income, you're going to need people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's where I've been at the last few months, is trying to bring in strategic people to help me with things. Cause I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get these things accomplished because there's literally only so much time in the day. I keep trying to figure out the formula to make more time, but that's not real. So I'm like, damn it. I have to hire people.
The formula is people.
Yes. That is the formula.
That's the formula. Because you're 8 hours and somebody else is 8 hours, and 10 people on the team, that's 80 hours. That's 80 hours instead of 8.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. In the last week or so, have made some serious traction on some things that I wanted to get done. So it's been nice. But it's also scary to just kind of trust other people with pieces of your vision. I think sometimes too, is it going to happen the way I want? Yeah. But that's also leadership too. So
yeah.
Anyway, I could talk about that for days. So you went from real estate into your own. I forget if there was another step in there.
Yeah, no, that was it. So 2011, I had this, one of those moments. We all find our own crisis of belief, is, what I call it. There's this, you're heading down the path of your life, doing the things you think you're supposed to do to get to where you want to go. And when one day you look up and you go, this isn't what I thought it was. For me, being in management, managing somebody else's business, put me in the middle of policy and rules and babysitting things that I didn't really want to babysit. I felt like my life was for coaching people in their purpose and their mission in life through business, and speaking to the masses. Those were the two things that, when I do those two things, it's a good day. When I do those two things, things show up. That's another thing too, right? Is one, that it felt good to me to do those things. That felt like what I was genetically encoded for, was to coach people and to speak on stages, those two things. But the second part is noticing when you do certain things that results show up. When I coach people and when I speak on stages, results happen. So I was moving my life in the direction of the things that I was meant to do. And so in 2011, I decided to start my own consulting company, and did that. I have been doing that ever since. So
nice. Yeah. I think sometimes the journey is the important part, because like you were talking about earlier, there's lots of people who've been to college and don't do anything with it, or lots of people in businesses that they don't love. For me, it was a similar thing with the having to manage people to expectations that I don't agree with, or a culture that I don't necessarily always agree with in some ways, Yeah. So that was kind of where my divergence happened. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to burn myself out again and again. I'll try a new company, and then I'm going to get to the point where I'm like, I can no longer utilize my skills the best way that I can, because it's someone else's vision and passion. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what common problems do you help your clients solve? What do you help people with the most?
It usually comes down to, in the beginning, marketing. It's around how do you be seen? How do you be visible? How do you earn attention? And that just always comes back to the conversation of marketing. How I focus on marketing is content marketing. The thing that's going to build, if what you want is to have a relationship with your people and not just sell a widget to a person, but what you really want is a loyal following of clients or customers, then ultimately it's going to come down to you being able to create a relationship with those people. And I believe create a relationship at scale, because there is not enough time in the day to do coffee appointments with everybody. Relationship is attractive to my kind of clients because we're relationship people. But the way we're used to doing relationship is a pre-internet era strategy of meeting people for coffee and really investing in the relationship. And You just don't have time to do that. So content, think podcasts like this, think shows, right? Think you showing up and sharing, leading a conversation in the world is how I say it. Marketing is just you leading a conversation in the world. And the good part about that approach to marketing is that it attracts the right people. When you get into referral strategies, which are pretty popular in real estate, for example, it's a lot of build a database of your friends and your family, right? Get all their contact information. And what you end up having is this really random database of humans. There's nothing bringing them together other than you. Like, you're the common denominator, and there's no conversation they're all interested in. And so in your marketing, it's a crapshoot. It's a guess. You're like, well, what should I send this month for value? Should I just do a family newsletter? Like, nobody wants to read your newsletter. Do you know what I mean? Like, stop writing a newsletter. Nobody wants to. They read it because they're trying to be polite to you, but they're not actually interested in Johnny's, last baseball game. Like, unless they're your, it's grandma, it's your family, right? But yeah. The world it doesn't have the attention span anymore. Like that, your newsletter used to be entertaining, but now the world is flooded with information coming at them, so they have no patience or time to read your newsletter. So, how do we solve that? Well, you got to start to build a database, an audience of people who want to learn what you have to share. This is why content's so powerful, because I can create a show, just like you've created this show, and I can record something once a week, and I can send it out to the world / my database of people who are interested in this conversation. And now I know that every time I create content, it's going to be received with value, because this is the conversation we're all gathered around, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, at the beginning of a relationship with people, it's just about figuring out what is your message. Because if you don't know your message, if you don't know the conversation you're leading, then you're going to go try to do a bunch of marketing things that have that don't produce the result, which is building a database of people. Mm-hmm. You'll constantly be trying to cherry pick low hanging fruit. You'll constantly be trying to find the next person who's ready to buy or sell, and that strategy will burn you out, because you will always be hustling and grinding for the next sale rather than building a relationship for the lifetime of sales that somebody could actually be bringing you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So where do you kind of start with people on that then? So if somebody, because I know that happens to me sometimes too, like where I feel like I've kind of lost focus on what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. Like, I'm doing all the things again. So how do you kind of work through that with people, like what their vision and is?
Well, if let's assume they don't have a clarity of vision, I'm just like, well, what's your vision? And they're like, I don't know, which is possible. That's pretty common, actually. Then it's starting there. It's like, well, why are you doing this? What is this about for you? What difference do you want to make in the world? And once we start to go down those questions, it's interesting because people actually are pretty clear, even though they feel confused. Like, you start to ask really important questions, and people are pretty clear about what they want their life to be for. But business has pulled them in so many other directions that they get confused about that. They forget. Once we get clear about the direction, then it's just going down the road of, okay, let's start to define the conversation. And what the question I always start with in that consulting session is, what do you already know about the conversation you're here to lead in the world? We don't know. We so desperately want to know everything at once before we take action. But I'm like, look, you don't know it all, but you already know something about the conversation you're here to lead. What do you already know? And then we'll talk about that for a while. And then I'll say, so, and who is that conversation for? And we start to get, like, by the time we get done with that 60-minute conversation, that's all it is. We get to the end of it. It's like, okay, now we've been able to like get clear and shut out all the distraction, because now we know the direction we're headed, and we can build a strategy and a plan around that.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of the next thing. So like, the first step is the clarity and the vision and all of that. And then how does that kind of open up your growth and marketing strategies? 'Cause I think this kind of ties into like the niche conversation. Like, it seems to be quite the topic these days, is like niche down. So yes. Mm-hmm. And how does that help someone focus their growth and marketing strategies?
Yeah.
Having the clarity.
Well, I'll say it the opposite way. Like, if you don't get clear on that, then what you end up doing with your marketing strategies is chasing shiny objects. You hear TikTok's all popular. So you're like, oh God, I got to be on TikTok. And then you hear like, oh, Instagram stories are where it's at. Oh man, my YouTube channel's low. I got to do my YouTube channel. And you end up chasing tools and tactics, trying to hack a system for what? To what end? You don't know. For a sale? And so it's really disorienting when your business has been built around trying to make a sale rather than trying to serve a group of people. That's different. Making a sale is about you. Serving people is about them. And if you're not clear who them are, right? Then what are you doing? How could you possibly market effectively? That's like bumping into, I remember a real estate trainer back in the day used to say, even a blind squirrel can find a nut now and again. It's like, that's what you're doing. If you don't know what your vision is and who your people are, and you're out marketing your product or service, you're a blind squirrel bumping into nuts.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what you're doing.
Yep.
So yeah, so I think looking at it that way answers your question, which is like, how is it impactful to like our marketing by knowing these things? Well, now you actually, when you spend time, money, and energy, those are the three resources: time, money, and energy. When you spend those three resources in the direction of your mission and the people that mission is for, well, now you're going to get a better return. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the mission and you don't know the people, you're going to spend time, money, and energy on what? On speculation, on guesses, on what?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much, particularly with the social media thing. That's one thing that I help a lot of clients with. And, they're worried about being on all the platforms. And I'm like, if you don't already use social media all the time and know how it works, then don't do that to yourself or to anyone else. Like, there's no point in trying to have a Pinterest board or a Twitter account. If that's not something just start with Facebook or whatever it is, pick something and do that. No, you don't have to do Clubhouse. No, you don't have to do TikTok. Right. I think there's the appeal of having that because it's a raw platform. So the algorithm is basically a free for all. There's no data. People are just now starting to use this stuff. So it can feel like you're missing an opportunity to, quote unquote, go viral, but there's no way to plan that. So if you're just consistent in what you're doing, then yeah, some you might find a viral squirrel nut, like be like, yeah. Oh, accidentally this video went crazy viral, but there's no way to plan that because you don't have control over who sees your video and when, if they're going to think it's funny or entertaining or helpful. Yeah. So, it's trying to like get that out of people's heads too is tough sometimes too. Cause it's like, just be you, just do what you can handle and then build on it from there. So have the foundation first. Yeah.
If I were talking to your people who wanted to use your services for social media management or however, whatever it is that you offer, I would say to them, look, the thing that you need to do the most is be consistent in creating content. And when I say content, that is not attached to a platform. I don't care if it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I don't care what the platform is. You need to create content. And creating content is as simple as you taking your phone, turning on the camera, and recording something. Once you have that, Kristen can do all kinds of things with that. Like your social media managers can take content and put it places. What they can't do is read your mind and create content for you that you hope will save you. Most people are hire social media managers hoping that the social media manager knows more than they do and will save them.
Yeah, that's actually essentially why I stopped doing content management because it's people think that it's going to all of a sudden magically get them 10,000 followers. And I'm like, no, like if you have somebody that's not you creating content for you, it's not the same thing. Like I can put stuff on your social media all day long. I can find interesting quotes and resources for this and that. But if it's not you, your people know, and it doesn't have the same effect. So, it's just exhausting trying to be somebody else's brain. I can't have a hard enough time doing my own stuff. So, for that reason, it's like, you got to know what you're trying to say, and I can't create all the content for you. It just doesn't happen like that. So, so I like that. So when it comes to identifying one's important work, which is a big part of your mission, right? Where does someone start if they don't feel like they have that?
Yeah. I sort of define important work as the work you do that makes the world better, right? Like there's and I suppose that's not dependent on the industry. I suppose you could be in any industry, but it's going to come down to your vision of what you do in that industry that changes the world, that makes it important work. So your right, like how you relate to what you do as it relates to changing the world and making the world better. That's what I call important work. So there's a lot of real estate agents, like I was, who got into the business because they didn't know where they fit. It had a promise of good income and lifestyle, very minimal barrier to entry, lots of autonomy. Like there's a lot of people that pick going into business for themselves for those reasons. But they never actually, I didn't pick real estate as a career because I could make the world a better place. I picked it because I wanted to make money and I wanted a lifestyle. Like I picked it for me. I didn't pick it for people. I picked it for me, you know? So if you don't already know what your important work is, then the first thing is to start to look at like, what do you feel like the world needs more of? Like what turns you on? What do you want for people? But by the way, that actually before that would probably require that you start to look at yourself in a bigger light, because most people don't think that they're worthy to lead. They don't think that they're like, well, who am I to lead? Who am I to say things? And so they settle for whatever the world will give them rather than deciding that I have what it takes to lead change in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I think that's a very good thing to for people to think about. I think that happens to a lot of people I know, even entrepreneurs, like people that have just sort of accidentally grown these insane businesses from consistency and dedication and discipline. And I'm like, dude, like you're doing the thing, like you're doing something that you love and you're doing really well at it. Like it's like the imposter syndrome thing. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
Life will bring you there. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's just the design of life. You will go through your own hero's journey and you will come to a crisis of belief where you're like, why am I doing this? And you like, it's interesting as I'm starting to work with a lot of people who have had success in business. And the business they had success in is for the very reasons you said, like they were a good human. They showed up, they had good work ethic. They took care of people. But it wasn't their important work. It wasn't a self-expression for them. It was something they did and became successful at. And now they're like, man, I feel like this is not what my life is for, you know? And they're trying to, on one hand, they're afraid to leave the comfort and lifestyle and success they've had. They're afraid of what it might mean to their ego if they left that business they'd built in order to start the thing that they feel like their life is for, you know? That's scary for people, but good news for those people is they've already done that work. Like they know how to work, they know how to show up. So now it's just about refining, what's the vision? Who's it for? Like same thing. Like, what do you know about the conversation you're here to lead? Who is that conversation for? And then we build a plan around it. So
yeah.
It's the same process, whether you're at the beginning or you're later on in life, doesn't matter, but life will bring you to that crisis of belief at one point or another.
Yeah. And I feel like it's continual. Like we've kind of talked about this before, where you're continually evolving and like you're doing things and you keep trying things. And I think the term you used on a presentation I was watching or that you did was you got to do something and play with it and just kind of figure out what's going to work, what doesn't work. And that's how you keep, like you said, refining your vision and figuring out what you really do like and what works. And it changes, and that's fine. Like it's okay to start somewhere and then go, yeah, okay, I'm good now. I'd like to do something else. Like there's things about what I've done so far in business that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I want to try something else now. And so now it's time for a podcast and kind of expanding other areas. So anyway, yeah.
No, that's good. I like that. I think if you can, like I I didn't know what I didn't know at 24 when I became a real estate agent, right? I'm like, it was the right next step for me because nothing else was speaking to my soul. I was, you know, in hindsight, I could say real estate wasn't the career that I felt like was my important work, but it was absolutely the container I grew up in as an adult in business. Like the company I was with, it taught me business. It taught me perseverance. Like it taught me stuff. And I had to keep playing with what was the right next thing.
Yeah, it's like I started managing people when I was 19 and was making super good money working at a big box retailer. By the time I was 24 or 25 or something like that, just, I mean, unheard of, especially for not having a college degree. Right. And there are things that I didn't love, but I learned so much about myself and how to be a leader and what personal growth looks like and humility and making mistakes, messing stuff up and being like, well, now I know, and trying something different the next time. So it's like, you never know until you do a thing. And then you're like, well, okay, all right. learned that one. Right. I've made terrible mistakes when it comes to managing people and relationships with peers and my mentors. And, it's just the stuff that you have to get through, just being a human person. It's because you don't know when you're 20, 24 and you're like in charge of real money, like what is happening? Like counting. So for example, on Black Friday, this is Best Buy, by the way, that I worked at. Mm-hmm. I remember counting, the most I ever counted, I think in cash and checks was $80,000. And we're just like making jokes in the admin office, like, man, we could get to Mexico before anyone even noticed. Like they're not going to pick this up till tomorrow. Right. Like, let's roll. No one's going to notice that it's off, but it's just crazy to, have that kind of responsibility and understand what $80,000 feels like. Here again. Most people don't know that. So anyway, I digress. So, in your experience, then, I think we've kind of touched on this a couple times, but what is a consistent formula for high performance and growth in a business?
High performance and growth. Yes. I mean, I think I thought about this because I'm like, some of that is about energy management. Like, how do you manage your energy? And I think a lot of people's lives are way out of balance. I think you can't be a high performer when your life is out of balance.
Mm-hmm. True.
And if you read the one thing, I like that Gary Keller talks about, counterbalancing, and balance is a myth. And so I get that, but there is, you know what I mean when I say out of balance, like, you're working 10, 12 hours at your work, or it may not be the hours, but your entire mind is wrapped up in work. And so you're not present with your family. Like, these things are just recipes for not high performance, Mm-hmm. I've been through seasons where, I'm so preoccupied with my mission, my vision, the business of things, that my body, I was drinking 3 to 4 whiskeys a night. Like, I just was way out of balance. And that was not a recipe for high performance and growth. And I used sheer will and determination to move through it, but that's not high performance. Do you know what I mean? Like, the difference between that, like, there's high performance where you have energy for all the things and you have capacity to go the distance on the big picture. I was full throttle, 3 to 4 whiskeys in a night. I was full throttle and didn't have capacity to do more. I was trying to keep up with what I was working on. Mm-hmm. Your question's about high performance and growth. And I think a lot of times people think about output as high performance. Right. But if your output is coming at full throttle and you have no capacity to go further, then that's not high performance and you have no growth. There's no growth there. Mm-hmm. You will hit a ceiling. You'll continue to hit a ceiling on what you can produce. So that brings me to the second thought then for you, which is, I think one of the things I really think for high performance is your ability to lead others. Because if like I said, like we said earlier, 10 people at 8 hours a day is 80 hours. You didn't duplicate yourself. You just 10x'd yourself. Mm-hmm. So high performance comes when you start to have a big enough vision that allows other people to play in your space, and they can see getting to their vision on the coattails of your vision. If you can have a big enough vision, that's the catalyst, to use your word. That's the catalyst to high performance and growth. You better ramp up your vision, and then you better see how people can get to that vision, because sometimes founders with big vision are protective, and then they become the smartest person in the room and they keep everybody on task down there, but they don't let people come into the container and actually create. So high performance and growth happens when you have a big enough vision and allow others to bring their vision inside your vision so you can all get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like somebody actually said that. I don't know if it was Bill Gates or somebody along those lines about if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah. Which is true, because that's how you level up your game. Is like when you're surrounding yourself with people who are at least equal or, above you in some way. You need to learn something from them. I think that's important to the journey also. So yeah, and I agree with the like out of balance too, because it's true. Like when your home life is a hot mess, it's a lot harder for you to be focused on work or you're growing your business. Whether you're working somewhere or you're driving your own thing forward. And vice versa. Like if your finances are a mess, then other things tend to be messes. And if your house is always a mess, then, it's just psychological. So it's like, if you keep a clean house, in all aspects, business, whatever, then the other stuff is kind of going to come together because you're not spending all that energy and effort just on the basics of existing. Right. Like you got to get that shit dialed in. And then you're like, okay. All right. Because I know for me, that's when I feel the best is when I feel like I have control of what I'm doing. I have a plan for my future, even the smallest things. Like I literally have days of the week that that's the day that I clean, the day I do laundry, the day I do my Amazon order groceries, whatever. Like I have, and it makes me, I don't have to think about it anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's checked off. And now I can focus my efforts somewhere else. Like those are just the basics of existing. I'm like, okay, cool. I got it. Okay. But it takes time, and it's a roller coaster sometimes. So it's good.
I think a lot of founders and entrepreneurs are spontaneous people. We're creative people, idea people. And so one of our biggest challenges is creating a rhythm to life, a rhythm to showing up. Like we'll have these manic spurts of showing up and going all over the place, like just really getting lots of work done in a short amount of time. And then we like check out for a while. And for me, one of the game changers at a really base level of high performance and growth is just that I now know myself as someone who shows up. Like I show up, and I don't show up to random things. I show up to my vision. I show up to the plan. I show up and I produce and I produce and I produce. And that is just like you're saying, like that is the baseline that gives me confidence in where I'm headed. Because otherwise it's all a crapshoot. You're guessing when you show up. Yeah. Maybe I should do this today. Oh, maybe I should do that today. And just, and you pick your head up a couple of years later and you're like, where am I? What am I doing? I feel like I've been working a ton, but I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Right? And I know for me too, sometimes it happens because I'm helping a bunch of other people run and start their businesses. And so sometimes I have to kind of check in and be like, okay, hold on, what am I actually doing? Because I work a lot on, projects for clients. And I'm like, wait, what am I working on today that's like for me, that's not just for, the clients that I currently have, and kind of checking in on that balance too, because there are definitely times, especially when I have a lot going on for them, that it's like, hold on, like I haven't done any of my stuff, my social media, my online presence. I'm just like lost in the weeds of tasks, which is not my favorite, but we're getting there. It's progress.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to manage other people's businesses and your own.
Yeah, it is. Particularly this last year, right? Because it's been pivot 2020. And I'm like doing that in my own business and also trying to help a bunch of other people do it. So it definitely gets to be a bit much sometimes. But again, just being conscious of that, being like, okay, hold on. I can't do that. I can't work on this website for 8 hours. Like it's just
right.
It's honestly helped me a lot with time management and being more strategic about where I'm spending my time and trying to have better limits or boundaries, I guess, for myself on that, where I can't do all the things because I literally can't. So,
yeah.
It's a journey, right? You literally cannot. I have to sleep. You can't do it. I get dodgy. So, all right. So what advice would you give to people when it comes to running their business? Like, what are some nuggets that kind of stick with you from your own journey?
Yeah, I definitely think at the foundation of important work, of changing the world, of leading a business that's profitable, but also impactful or relevant to people, you've got to find your voice. If you don't find your voice, you'll always be trying to have someone save you. Like you'll be looking to other people to do marketing and ads for you, and it won't come out right. you just won't feel in control of your own business. So this at the foundation of all of it, at the base of the mountain, before you start climbing, or if you're already up the mountain, you're like, I'm up the mountain and I don't know what's my voice. You got to find your voice. You got to find your voice and your message. And once you find your voice and your message, you need to build programs, services, whatever it is that you're selling. You might need to do a massive look at what it is you're offering to make sure that what you're offering is congruent with your voice and your message. Like, right. If what you're here for is changing the world and what you sell is something that doesn't feel like it does that, then, you may have some things to look at. Right. But those are the two things. Find your voice, which includes your message, and then start to retool what you're offering the world to help the world the way you see your messages saying. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what resources do you wish you had known about at the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey? Systems or people or whatever comes up.
I'll just say the voice thing for me, because the tools and the systems, you can learn those things or you can outsource those things. But what you can never outsource is your voice. Like if I, at the age of 24, had a mentor who had told me, like, listen, you have to start leaning into the things that life has taught you and the passions that are stirring in you, and you need to speak from that place. I see it because I got into real estate and tried to be a real estate agent. I tried to do real estate agent, right? I tried to do what I thought a real estate agent did at the expense of who I was. And I was in real estate, from selling for 6 years to being a CEO for 5, that's 11 years of my life. I was trying to be something I thought the world wanted me to be and never being myself. 11 years of my life that if I had known from the beginning to honor my voice. And because when you're young, you're like, who am I? I don't know anything. Like, I don't know. They know. So I must go learn from them because they know. But inside of each of us is this divinity, this divine truth, this spirit that knows and sees things. And if at the beginning of your business journey, you could honor the things that life has taught you and realize that there is value in that for other people, it would change the direction of your life and your business.
I think it just kind of people in general, like if they knew, it would change the way we feel about the relationships that we're in, about the relationship that we have with ourselves, just having the inner confidence to just be like, no, this is who I am and this is what I'm here for. That would change the world, like for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us how we can best support you. What are you working on? Can we help spread the word for you about anything?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Right now, where people can, I'm building a Facebook group called 1 Million Messengers. And my mission is in this lifetime to impact and work with 1 million messengers. So a messenger is somebody who has something to say to the world. Like you have a business built around a thing to say to the world and you want to change the world for the better. Like that's who I'm working with. So if you are that person or you know somebody that is a messenger, you can find 1 Million Messengers on Facebook. Just type it in. You'll see the group. We do a podcast episode on Mondays. We do a deep dive live in Facebook in the group on Wednesdays, and we do a Zoom Q&A on Fridays. All of that is free. It's just it's a community there to incubate messengers. So that's how you could help.
Very nice. And I will say, because I'm in that group, and just having listened to you speak before and just kind of getting to know you a little bit better over the last few weeks or month. I don't know how long it's been. It's quarantine time. Time warp. The no BS approach and the humility and authenticity and honesty that you provide, I think is refreshing. And I think most people would get value out of being in the group too. It's not just a traditional sales funnel, where somebody's like, here, come to my 5-day thing and then sign up for my other thing and then all my other stuff. It's really just Chris showing up and trying to help the world be a better place. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. How else can people get in touch with you besides the group? How can they stalk you on the internet?
Yeah. Well, I do most of my posts on my Facebook profile, and that's public. Whether we're friends or not, you can see my posts on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/Chris.Angell with 2 L's. And I would say if you're interested in finding your voice, because that's really where this starts, it will put you on my email list. You can go to mygroundswell.com/voice and download my PDF guide. That is the essential guide to finding your voice. I think it all starts there. So that will put you in contact with me.
Very cool.
If you're on that email list, by the way, every Thursday I send out a tool. So at the end of a year, there's 52 tools. Like I send out things that would support you in your business. So it's not just an email like, hey, it's me again. It's, I really wanted my email strategy to be something that provides value to you and gives you infrastructure for your business. So if you get the voice, the essential guide to finding your voice, you'll also get Thursday emails with tools.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. To help you grow.
Yeah. That's actually what I want to do with mine is I have set it like something weekly where it's like a Loom tutorial on how to something. So I like that. Cause there's just too much crap out there. So excellent. It's so much crap. Yeah. Any final thoughts for us before we go?
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. You and I had a chance to work together. You supported me in some of my projects here in the last month. And I would just say, like, anybody that is looking for ninja level support, like somebody who understands that they don't have a brain that works that way. Like I don't have a brain that works like Kristen's. She's totally detail oriented and on top of things and brings, structure and order to chaos. So if you're looking for some type of support, like I can't recommend you enough. I really appreciated the support you brought to my project. Oh,
thanks. I can't wait to see what we do together. Honestly, like every time we talk, I learn something new. So I'm excited.
So good.
Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'll talk to you soon.
This podcast was produced and edited by Speak Spokane.